France, the great nation, has produced some wonderful players, and many of the all-time greats have come over to play in England. Here's a list of the 10 greatest French exports in the English Premier League. At number 10, it's not a player, but because of his impact and influence on the Premier League, I've put Arsene Wenger at number 10. The long-time Arsenal manager was influential in bringing in so many of the French players that Arsenal became the second home for France. He was influential in the Premier League and set new standards for what all managers should be. He's one of the greatest managers, the greatest characters of the Premier League of all time. He comes at number 10. Now let's get to the list. Top 9 French Premier League players. Number 9 is David Ginola. Now after shining for PSG, Newcastle snapped him up in 1995 as part of Kevin Keegan's revolution. Ginola played alongside Alan Shearer, helping Newcastle finish second in the league 2 years in a row. He then joined Tottenham in 1997 and won the PFA Player of the Year in 1999, which is the same year Man United won the treble, but Ginola was the Player of the Year, which shows how good he was. He comes in at number 9. At number 8 it is left back Patrice Evra. He spent 9 successful seasons with Man United, making 273 appearances. What made Evra so good was that he had a big personality and leadership from the start, which helped him fit perfectly in this great Man United team under Ferguson. He completely owned that position at left back and was constant reliable to put in good performances. He helped United win 5 Premier League titles and 1 Champions League. He comes in at number 8. At number 7 is Nicolas Anelka. Now as an 18-year-old, Anelka was the star for the Arsenal team that won the league in 1998, while his fellow French compatriot Thierry Henry sat on the bench. Anelka was the real star when they were both young. Now after failing at Real Madrid, he became a Premier League nomad, playing for Man City, for Bolton, for West Brom, but each time he would score around 15 goals a season, before eventually landing a move to Chelsea in his later years, where he formed a strong partnership with Drogba and helped Chelsea win the Premier League. He comes in at number 7. Number 6 is Claude Makelele. Now Makelele revolutionised the role of a defensive midfielder in the Premier League. He was a competitive and hard-working player where he often played in front of his 2 centre-backs, showing his abilities in tackling, reading the game, marking opponents and interceptions. Makelele was very instrumental in helping Chelsea win their 2 Premier League titles, and he set the standards for how a DM should be. Coming in at number 5, it is Arsenal icon Robert Pires. As part of the French core under Arsene Wenger's successful years, he was one of the main figureheads when thinking about the dominating Arsenal sides of the early 2000s. Pires was on the PFA Team of the Year for 3 straight years from 2001 to 2004, and all 6 years he spent at Arsenal, his goal tally was in the double figures, and he led Arsenal to many titles and many leagues. He comes in at number 5. At number 4 it is N'Golo Kante. The only player on this list that is still playing. Kante is already a Premier League icon, coming from humble beginnings and helping Leicester to a Premier League title. He would then join Chelsea and lead them to a Premier League title, where he would win PFA Player of the Year from a defensive midfield position. Now that's an achievement. Kante is a master of defensive midfield, and his ability to make hard tackles without fouling has made him a legend in the league. He comes in at number 4. At number 3 it is Patrick Vieira. Former Arsenal captain, Patrick Vieira is one of the greatest players to play in the Premier League. In his 9 years at Arsenal, he won 3 Premier Leagues, 4 FA Cups and made 6 consecutive Team of the Year appearances, and he even won Player of the Year in 2001. He was known as a general on the midfield. Vieira was tall, athletic, powerful, a strong leader who was a threat in attack and defence, and he was the captain of the Invincibles, so therefore he comes in number 3. Number 2 it is Eric Cantona, the Man United icon who's regarded as the catalyst that helped Man United become a global force in football. He was a strong, hard-working forward who combined skills with power and goal-scoring ability. It was more than just his ability that made him special, it was his aura, his attitude, personality that made him a cult hero and a star in this league. Cantona would captivate his teammates to perform better. He led from the front as the most talented player and as the ultimate leader. Cantona only spent 5 seasons at Man United, but he won 4 Premier Leagues and 2 FA Cups. which shows how good he was. And he retired at the age of like 31. Cantona was a legend. He comes in at number 2. He would have come in at number 1, but there can only be one number 1, and that number 1 is the greatest player of all time, French honor. It is Thierry Henry, the Arsenal legend. He was part of Arsene Wenger's French Revolution in the early 2000s. You know, Pires, who was mentioned earlier in the list, was the key playmaker. Vieira, who was also in this list, was the ultimate leader. But Thierry Henry was the main man. He was the main goal threat, the striker, everything for the Arsenal team. He terrorized defenders with his pace, control, skill, composure, finishing. Henry had everything. He was the ultimate man and easily the number 1 greatest French player, greatest player the Premier League has ever seen. Thank you for tuning into this list. Please let me know in the comments whether you agree, disagree. Thank you.